Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast.
What?
What's poppin'? What's poppin', bro?
What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I said, "What's poppin'?" I said, "I don't know." I could. I just saw this TikTok
okay,
it was like a couple months ago or something like that for fantasy football, and it's like this it's like about fantasy football, and they have this guy playing like dubstep.
Every intro to every.
And he's shaking his head. He's like, yeah. And then he's like,
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Podcast.
It's like the welcome to the show. And then he like turns around. He's like, hi guys.
Hi guys, what's going on? I'm going to tell you why you should draft Devontae Adams over Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
But anyway, welcome to the Fantasy Champions Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. Got Rick Lemon over there. Today, we're going to talk about some bold predictions for the 2021 fantasy football season. I didn't talk about this at all besides at the end of last show, but training freaking camp started this week.
Oh my gosh.
It was actually yesterday. So if you're listening to this on Thursday, it was yesterday on a Wednesday. And I can breathe now.
Yeah, you're okay.
Football is very close. I'll say that. Very close.
It's football season now.
From now until February, there is going to be some form of football in my brain. You know what? Training camp preseason also means Hard Knocks is back. Kind of lit about that. But either way, so we're going to talk about some bold predictions going into training camp, going into the NFL season, maybe some predictions on what happens at the end of the season. I don't know. I don't know Rick's. Rick knows mine because I wrote them down. Right. So we'll hash these out. We'll yell at each other. We'll talk about them. Try to make it a quicker show because some bold predictions. We don't need to spend 2 hours talking about this stuff. But anyway, before we jump into that, be sure to check our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, anywhere. Really, just type in the FF Champs, Fantasy Champions, search us. You'll find us eventually. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, leave a review. Share this podcast with your friends. Continue to grow the podcast platform audience because you guys are killing it over there. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and like and comment down below. YouTube, lagging behind a little bit, but you're getting back. You're getting back to where you were.
Yeah.
You fell asleep for a couple months. You hibernated after the NFL draft. Now you're back. You're listening to us talk about fantasy football. It's exciting. I know. So we're going to jump into bold predictions. You ready to go, boss?
Yeah, let's do it.
So like I said, I do want... every show I say this and then...
It doesn't happen. I never actually complete the show in 25 minutes.
You got to stop. We can't be doing this whole show.
Yeah, so we never actually complete the show in 25 minutes, but we'll try today. We got, I think, 21 minutes to go. Usually mock drafts go faster. So,
because we just make the picks.
Oh, by the way, before we do bold predictions, next week we switch to 3 episodes a week.
Oh, flip, get lit.
And possibly some individual video content coming out, as well as Rick getting on the TikTok.
Yeah. What about you? You don't have to pin it all on me, bro. You can hop in there if you want.
I put the entire TikTok on you.
You can hop in there if you want to.
Do you want to see an old man do TikTok dances?
No, not that. You don't have to see that.
So I'll take my shirt off and just do TikTok dances.
Okay, never mind. Forget I said anything.
Forget it. I'm sure people want to.
Forget it. Nope, forget it.
Anyway, so let's jump into our bold predictions. Me and Rick have 3 bold predictions each. We're going to go through our bold prediction, and then we'll move on to the next one, and so on and so forth. So, who do you want to start? You want to start? Or you want me to start?
I can start if you want to.
Go ahead, boss. Give us the first bold prediction.
All right.
Love this show because I get to go back and roast you, and you get to roast me, and it's great. So
yeah, I feel like I should have done more. you told me about an hour before the show to do bold predictions, and then I didn't actually even do them. So like, I had all done this very recently. Mm-hmm. So I kind of might have different feelings if I had more time, but nevertheless, you got to come up with your bold predictions. And some of these are based off my projections, and then kind of I had feelings beforehand, and then the projections really elevated that. My first one is, I don't know if you would call this a hot take or not, because it's
a bold prediction.
Hot take. Bold prediction. Well, it is. I would say a bold prediction because I don't see many people having him winning this high. But I have Justin Fields finishing as a top 15 quarterback. So a bold prediction.
Interesting.
And the reason for this is because I think I'm not sure if Fields is going to start week 1 or not. Mm-hmm. But they don't need to see they'll see enough of Andy Dalton very fast. So Fields will come in very quickly. And I think similar to what Jalen Hurts did last year, on the field, will Justin Fields dominate? No, probably not. He's a rookie quarterback. But I think they'll use him a lot. He'll throw the ball a good amount.
People will be triggered by that comment too.
What?
The Justin Fields probably won't dominate right away. People will be like, what are you talking about?
I know.
Shut up, people.
Hey, I'm pro Fields too, but I mean,
we're all pro Fields. Let's just be realistic here.
Not the Patriots, unfortunately.
Yeah, Mac Jones will dominate.
I hope so.
Does that count? Does that count as one of my bold predictions? Or
yeah, we can just add that on. I'll write that down. Mac Jones will dominate. Yeah, no, but I think what does it with me with Fields is he's a running quarterback. Yeah. So I think people underestimate him right now. Like, I was looking at some quarterback draft rankings. He's like QB 24. If he's out on the field and playing with guys on a week-to-week basis, I think he'll finish higher than Derek Carr. He'll finish higher than Ben Roethlisberger. Mm-hmm. He'll finish higher than Ryan Fitzpatrick. And then you get into the kind of the bold prediction area, but I think he could finish higher than a Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
He has the upside to finish higher than Tua because of his running. That is the key with Fields. He's going to run the football. He ran at Ohio State. He's fast. He's even faster than people think. People have even said before that they didn't use him enough at Ohio State with running the football. So if he can play like a Deshaun Watson and use his legs, I mean, we talk about this all the time with fantasy quarterbacks, is the quarterbacks that are able to run. So I think I think he could, if he plays the same amount of games as Trevor Lawrence, there's a chance he finishes higher fantasy-wise just because he runs the ball a lot. But so does Trevor Lawrence, so I think there's a chance he could have a decent rookie season as well. Right. But I'm not saying Fields is going to explode year one because I don't think he will. But he'll put up enough fantasy points where he runs the ball and throws the ball enough to where he's a top 15 quarterback.
Now, what week do you think he'll take over the job?
So this is, I think week 2. Like, I literally think it's 1 week of Andy Dalton. It's like Herbert last year.
It'll be, it's not even going to be 1 week of Andy Dalton. It's going to be 1 week of training camp.
Yeah, really, I think there's a legitimate chance he starts week 1, but it's the Bears. Okay. So I'm going to assume they start Andy Dalton.
Normally with bold predictions, I will argue with you, but this one is actually not a bad take. I think there's a little bit more. I think from the Chicago Bears side, there's a little bit more hesitancy I hope I said that right. To start him only because I think they know with Andy Dalton they're not winning. I think you have to be stupid if you think you're going to win a lot of football games with Andy Dalton at quarterback. And who knows? Maybe they do. Maybe they freaking love Andy Dalton. They're like, this guy's going to win us a bunch of games because he's a game manager and we have a great defense and we're going to run the ball with David Montgomery the entire game and he's going to dominate and we're going to win games and yada, 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 yada.
Yep.
They could be blindsided with that, but if I'm an NFL GM and if I'm an NFL head coach and I look at Andy Dalton, I'm like, I'm not winning with this guy. I'm winning with Justin Fields. But I don't want to throw Justin Fields out there too fast, so are they willing to be like, okay, this is a lost season, next year we'll dominate with Justin Fields? Or are they going to be like, okay, we're going to throw him in there as soon as Andy Dalton starts sucking? Because if you expect to lose, then Andy Dalton is just going to play the whole year and you're going to blow.
I don't think they gave up their first-round pick next year for Fields, I believe. They have their roster isn't young. They have a lot of older guys. Their defense is good, but getting very old. They have Allen Robinson. I don't think they're in a position right now where they can just throw a season away.
Yeah. I agree with that. I do think Andy Dalton sucks so bad that at some point in the year, if it was anybody else, like say they signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, that might be a little bit different of a scenario. But Andy Dalton just sucks. I mean, when you had all those weapons in Dallas, and you still were trash, like I'm sorry, there's no two ways. Like you're not gonna hold on to that job for very long. And that's why I even think Justin Fields might win it right away. But I just don't know. I don't know how dug in Matt Nagy is. He's a stubborn guy, so he might be real dug in on not starting Justin Fields. But if he does play, I agree 100% with you, Rick, that he's going to be really good. And that he will carry with his legs his team. And it'll end up being like, top 15 is probably a safe bet. But hey, maybe somebody punctures Andy Dalton's lung and Justin Fields plays week one.
Okay.
So anyway, let's talk about my number one guy.
Yeah, let's do it.
Guy, but bold prediction. So I'm boldly predicting in my bold prediction that Najee Harris is going to get 300 touches. Now, is this really bold?
It's a little bold.
Okay. I was going to say that's 400, but I didn't want to get too excited.
Now that would be what most in the NFL behind Derrick Henry, him and
to
Henry.
Prepare for this show, I was reading other people's bold predictions. My goodness.
Are they just horrible?
I was scared by some of them. I was like, what are you talking about? It was just so many like crazy predictions that I was like, you throwing crap at the wall and hoping it sticks? Like I'm at least trying to be right here.
Right.
So anyway, I have they've been looking for a healthy version of Le'Veon Bell since Le'Veon Bell left. Mike Tomlin loves to give running backs the ball a lot. And over the course of Le'Veon Bell's career with Pittsburgh, he had 300, 400 carries, or not carries, 300, 400 touches in a season. And it was always between that number, sometimes even higher than that. And running backs don't last long in the NFL. And so I don't think they're bringing Najee Harris in and giving him a small workload to start so he can learn it. I think they're going to bring him in and they're going to run the ball and they're going to throw the ball to Najee Harris and he's going to be a centerpiece in this offense and they're going to friggin' pound him into the ground. And I think they're going to try to get as much out of him as they can. They have a short window to win right now. They know their offense is kind of predicated around that running back position and how it effectively can be used. And Najee Harris is one of the best pass-catching running backs coming out of college. So, and not to mention, Ben Roethlisberger can't throw it more than 27 yards down the field. So I would say Najee Harris has a really great shot of touching the ball 300-plus times. This is not a prediction about where he's going to land. This is not a prediction about where you should draft him. This is a prediction about how many touches he gets, and it's going to be 300-plus.
Okay. So I actually do agree with this take, and I have Najee Harris in probably the biggest league I'm in. Yeah. And I am nervous about him just because it's nothing to do with him necessarily. It's more just about the offensive line and how he's going to produce with that offensive line. But when it comes to touches, I do agree. I think he can get 300 touches. I mean, I could easily see him. What is that, like 250, 260 carries and then 40, 50 catches? So I think that's pretty much the year we're looking at for Najee. Do you want to hear my second bold take? This is all in the heart. Okay.
Everything
this is a heart take.
And soul is saying
this has a little factual evidence behind it, so it's not completely
don't tell
from the heart. But it's
all in your heart.
You have this love for Mac Jones, as I wrote down. Mac Jones.
Mac Attack.
The Mac Attack,
That's
right?
my guy. Mac and cheese.
We're both Patriots fans, and it's like Nelson Aguilar. Is he my guy? No. Is Mac Jones my guy? No. Justin Fields is my guy. I need a guy on the Patriots. Okay. And I'm bringing it to fantasy football. It's Damian Harris. Okay, Damian Harris is going to finish as a top 20 running back.
I was going to put Damian Harris on mine, but I was like, nah, I don't feel like it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, what's the bold prediction on Damian Harris? That's the question.
Top 20 running back this year.
Oh, see, that's a light one compared to some of them. Some of them are like top 10.
No, he's not going to be top 10. And I like Damian Harris, but he's going as like the RB like 30 something.
Okay.
So I think he'll get top 20. And the reason for this is, for one, just eyeball test. Like, as Patriots fans,
right.
He looks like a good running back. He looks better at this point in his career than Sony. They let Rex Burkhead walk, so they're that. And you, as a casual fan, you're like, oh, that doesn't really mean anything. Well, they use Rex Burkhead a lot. So Damian Harris is going to be the guy in that offense. All the reports so far, even from people in camp, Jeff Howe, I believe, of the Boston Globe, said that like Damian Harris is the clear guy and they want to use him a lot this year. It feels like he's going to get the opportunity. And in games last year that he played, he was on pace for 219 carries and 1,100 yards, which is very good. He averaged 5 yards a carry. PFF, who I use them for offensive line, Pro Football Focus, but you know, their skill positions I'm not really sure about, because they actually had Damian Harris as a top 3 running back last season. Like, they thought he performed like a top 3 running back in the league. And I'm not going to go that far, but it just shows that he did have a good season, and he
was efficient when he was healthy.
He's an efficient, quality running back. His only problem last year was he was on pace for those numbers, but he was also on pace for 3 total touchdowns and 8 total catches in a full season.
Yeah, so that would hold you back.
He's not gonna be a great receiving back. It's kind of like a poor man's J.K. Dobbins. But I think he's gonna have a similar year to Dobbins. I mean, I don't think he'll be quite as good, but he's gonna, I think, get 200 plus carries. He's gonna be very good on the ground.
Yeah,
he's gonna get 1,100 rushing yards around that area. I think the rushing touchdowns will go up because it's gonna be a better offense. But the passing game is gonna be the real reason that tops his ceiling, and the fact that Patriots use a lot of running backs.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think also, I kind of agree with this. I think Damian Harris is a steal, by the way. But I will say, if Mac Jones wins the job or he takes over at some point, that benefits Damian Harris, because usually when you get to the goal line, and if you watch the Patriots at all last year, when you got to the goal line, it was in a similar situation, in a similar sense to like Josh Allen in Buffalo, where those running backs don't get opportunities on the goal because their quarterback just, runs it in himself. So I think if Cam's a starter, he's just going to run it in on the 1-2 yard line by himself, and he's going to get those rushing touchdowns, and a guy like Damian Harris is not. Whereas Mac Jones ain't punching it in. He ain't running around. He ain't going to punch it into the end zone. He's going to hand it off to Damian Harris to do that job. So, I think it's very dependent on who the quarterback ends up being for the Patriots over the course of the full season and how many opportunities Damian Harris gets. Mac wins that job, I think, and if the offense is efficient with Mac Jones, then Damian Harris does get a lot of opportunities to score. But I think that's going to be his only path to a top 15, top 10 season, is if he can score touchdowns. Because like you said, the passing opportunity and workload is not going to be there.
And his passing, it obviously is not going to be great, but it just needs to be okay. It felt like they used him a little bit more by the end of the season than they did in the beginning in the passing game. Yeah. He only had 2 targets in his first 6 games total. 2 targets in 6 games, which is like, you're not going anywhere with that. But he did have, looks like 5 targets in his next 5 or his next 4 games. So he had 5 targets in the last 4, which still is not good, but that's improvement from what it was in those first 6 games. So he just needs to get J.K. Dobbins, Derrick Henry type passing work, and we could see a really good year from Damian Harris.
Definitely. Who was your first bold take?
It was Fields.
Oh, Fields. All right, good. I'm glad we got other players than running backs here, because all mine are running backs.
I know. I saw that, which is why
I was like, I need to stop. I need to stop with the running back.
I got my last one's a receiver for you.
Oh, so. Good. Thanks. So my second bold prediction here is Clyde Edwards-Helaire finishes as a top 5 running back. Now, I think this is going to be. There are some people who love Clyde, and there are some people who hate Clyde, just like everyone in the fantasy community. There's always discrepancies and disagreements. The problem with Clyde is that last year people hyped this man, and I was one of them. Hyped this man into the top 5, 6, 7 in drafts, and I was like, I'm not drafting him higher than like 9, right? But some people were drafting him as a top 5 running back. In some leagues I was in, he was drafted literally 4 or 5. even in startup leagues. And I was like, you people need to chill out.
Right.
That's a little bit nutsy. Okay. But for me, when I look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like, I think that hype brought him down, if that makes sense. Because he didn't finish as a top 5 running back. What did he finish as? Like a top, if he played the full season?
I think he was top 12 still. Right?
Yeah, so he was still really good, but he just didn't live up to that production. You know, he didn't live up to that value that he...
I know he was on pace, like the first 2 weeks of the season. He was like RB6, and then he kind of, when they signed Le'Veon Bell,
that's when it kind of went down.
All went downhill. Correct.
So, I think there's a lot of people out there that look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire and think, oh my God, this guy, you know, he hurt my team. I drafted him top 5 like people told me to, and he just busted and all this stuff. But the guy literally had 1,100 rushing yards last year, I believe. Yeah. Let me just pull that up and make sure. I mean, he had 1,100 all-purpose yards last year, which for a rookie running back is relatively good. The area that he didn't really have a lot of success with is rushing touchdowns. And I think everything that people liked about him the year before are all still the same thing, right? He's still a first-round pick. He's still he's still on the best offense in the league, right? He's on a team with a better offensive line, right? And it's like, when I look at this, and he's a guy that he averaged 4.5 yards a carry. He had 54 targets and 36 catches last year, which wasn't as much as we thought it was going to be. But I told everyone to temper their excitement on this guy and not get too excited and draft him in that top 10. So for me, it's like, at the end of the day, I look at Clyde and I see there's not really any difference. He was still a top 12 to 15 running back. And I think that if given the passing opportunity, and if he scores more than 5 touchdowns and gets somewhere around 10 to 12, which is what an elite running back does, right? He can finish in the top 5 in fantasy football, like 100%. He's in the best offense in the NFL. If you are going to try to sell or say that the best running back, that the starting running back on the best team in the NFL doesn't have a shot at being a top 5 or top 6 running back, if you're saying that, you're just not being fair to the player. Like, honestly, I don't care if he is the most talented running back or if he blows. If he's starting for the team, he's going to be good. And we saw Damian Williams have stretches of games where he was fantastic, and he's not a good running back, in my opinion. So Clyde is better. I think that over time you're going to see a good situation for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity, which will lead to him being a top 5 running back.
You know, I like the energy you bring, okay? And I like Clyde. Top 5 to me is just a little much, personally, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It is a bold, right? Exactly. It's a bold prediction, and it's a possible, like, I could see that scenario happen.
Yeah.
By how much he's used and that offense.
But now he's worth it. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
People are going to draft him in the 3rd round now, or late 2nd, and they're going to get him as their 2nd running back and get him as the 14th, 15th running back off the board, and then he's going to outperform that, and they're going to be like, oh, well, finally he did it. And it's like, no, you actually got the player who was playing the way that he was supposed to play at the right value instead of overdrafting him in the top 5.
Yeah.
So anyway,
no, I like the take.
Let's do the last 2 relatively quickly because we only have a couple minutes left.
Okay, I actually switched mine here at the end.
Okay.
But my take, it is still a receiver take. I have Mike Evans not finishing in the top 20, and just because yours was spicy, we'll go spicier. We'll go top 25.
Wow, Mike Evans is one of your guys.
I know, I like Mike Evans. And it was either going to be him or Godwin. I think one of them is,
because I kind of disagree.
Is going to have a big hit. Okay.
Okay.
And the reason I think is it's the Tom Brady thing, who I like. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One is the Tom Brady thing. I don't think he's throwing 40 touchdowns again at the age of 43. And I was on his train last year. Mm-hmm. So this is coming from a Tom Brady guy. I just don't know if he's going to throw 40 touchdowns back-to-back seasons and 4,600 yards. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's one thing. He could be more efficient this year. Like, let's say he gets 35 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, but that's less touchdowns in the offense. Number 2, Antonio Brown is playing a full season. Antonio Brown last year, when he was healthy, or when he was signed, because he was healthy the whole season, was pretty good in that offense and had weeks where he was the number one receiver on the team. Mm-hmm. He re-signed. Brady's going to continue to target him. Number 3 is that there's just so many weapons on that team. O.J. Howard is coming back, who they forced fed last year in the beginning of the season. Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown.
Don't forget they drafted Jalen
Chris
Darden.
Godwin. They drafted that guy. They still have Tyler Johnson. They still have Scotty Miller. They have so many guys. They throw the ball to running backs.
Yeah.
One of these guys, one of these top players is going to take a real hit fantasy-wise. Mm-hmm. My guess is Mike Evans. I think Chris Godwin, though, could just as easily take a big hit.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say Mike Evans because he's on the older end. But, yeah, that's who I have.
Okay. And really quickly for me, J.K. Dobbins doesn't finish in the top 10 in fantasy football. People, what I don't know. I don't think I wrote top 10.
That's not really top 15. That's not really a bold. I thought you said top 15 too.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Because I was going to say top 10's not really bold.
Yeah. So J.K. Dobbins doesn't finish in top 15. I don't know why I wrote top 10.
You know, you may just by that take now makes me want to go back and say top 20 for Mike Evans.
I think I'm pretty sure I meant to type 20. I'm pretty sure I meant to type 20. But anyway, so J.K. Dobbins, I don't think he's going to finish in the top 15. And I've outlined, I don't necessarily think he's going to be a bust. But right now he's been hyped into a position where people really, really, really like him, and they think he's going to be this fantastic running back for the Baltimore Ravens, and I think he's going to be fantastic in real life. As far as fantasy is concerned, when Mark Ingram finished as a top 8 back, it took a lot for that to happen, and he was highly efficient. I don't know that J.K. Dobbins, now he was highly efficient last year for Baltimore when he played as a starter, but I don't know if J.K. Dobbins can actually finish as an efficient, elite, top-level running back on this particular football team. And I think we talk about what a top 10, top 15 running back really needs to have, and that's the pass-catching portion of their game. There's not a lot of guys that can be a highly effective, efficient running back in fantasy football without pass catching. And I think Dobbins is not, with the exception of Derrick Henry, J.K. Dobbins, I don't think is going to be that efficient, at least at this point. For me, the opportunities are there, but even so, it's only going to be between 200 and 220 rushing attempts, and if he only gets 10 catches, he's only at 230 opportunities. And if the guy is not highly efficient, then he's probably not going to finish as an elite, top 15, even top 12 running back in fantasy football. So for me, I think we need to temper expectations and excitement for J.K. Dobbins in the future.
Yeah, I definitely think of the year 2 running backs. He's probably one of my least favorite. I still like him.
I love J.K. Dobbins. Don't get me wrong.
It's just the situation, like you said.
Yeah.
Although I do disagree with you. I think he'll finish top 15.
Okay.
He'll be 15th.
There you have it. Bold predictions for the 2021 fantasy football season. Nadia Harris, 300 touches. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, top 5. J.K. Dobbins, top 15. Those are mine. I don't remember what Rick's were, but we don't have enough time to say them. Sorry, boss.
Fields, Mike Evans, and Damian Harris. That's all I'll say.
There you go. We'll see you next week. 3 episodes. Get prepared. It's guys. August, people.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.